All right. Stream has started. Stretch, pop my back, check audio. It looks like it's working. I got a little monitor over here. And, oh, look at this. Welcome to Vlog Thursday. It is saying it's live. What did I do wrong? We're going to turn my phone off. Because I tried sitting down almost 3 hours ago to do this. And it is days without incident. Yeah. That reset, we're doing hours without a dumpster fire is what I almost wanted to title it. So we implemented this a couple times today. You know, decisions were made. And no, we don't use a ticketing system. Everyone's asked me this. I can keep answering it as the same answer. No, we don't use a ticketing system. And I kind of brought that up. Faster invoicing process means faster pay and new MSP clients. So what you end up doing if you create a ticketing system is, many times I've said this, if you start treating people like tickets instead of clients, they just get mad. And one of the new MSP clients, they loathe the other guy. They said he had a ticket. It got created every time. And then we called him 7 times until he answered the phone because tickets would just linger on for days. The way we do it is mostly with email. Most of the stuff is all conversed with email, unless it's a dumpster fire emergency because they need something right now. People email us. We have an email address. We use Google Groups with G Suite. They're one and the same if you're not a G Suite user. And we can see who replies to those emails. We can follow internally a thread of how it worked by using group management. So that's how we follow up and determine what's in. And then we combine that with the chat system of we're using the Google chat system, did a review on it, and we go, hey, so-and-so needs this installed, needs a new printer set up at XYZ client. Who's doing that? And then someone will say, okay, I can be there, or I got it, and jumps on a remote session. It's just simple. And then when we're done, we invoice this. It's just done. So that's it's really simple. And I bring this up, and this is an example. Corey was busy today. He was actually last 2 days, Corey was quite busy with projects. So he comes in. Customer says, I need this done. Actually, someone who found us on YouTube, by the way, and they happen to be local. They say, I need this done. We estimated the job to be 2 hours. Right away, they got a quote for 2 hours. They click, it's sent to them, 2 hours, wire cleanup work. It's sent to them. Get there, scope creep. And if you've worked in IT at all, you know what scope creep is. And what you said you wanted done, and then you said, while you're here, can you do these other things? No problem. 1 extra hour build, not a problem. Corey drives back here, sends the bill, and he sent it for 3 hours instead of the 2 on the quote. And within 15 minutes, I'm going to say probably within 9 minutes, we were paid. The whole job paid. Already money deposited because he hit send, the person did it. It's that fast. I got paid in 6 minutes this morning, and I kind of laugh. It's the same thing. We keep stats in the system, as you can see. You can follow through in Invoice Ninja under the activity log and see sent invoice at this. I sent the invoice this morning. I finished a simple task for someone remotely, billed them for half an hour. I sent at 7:49 a.m. I think is when I sent them the invoice. They paid at 7:53 or 7:55. They paid it. When you do and have a process like that, and you're not trying to create these convoluted processes, it was really simple. Like my task specifically, I know what I did was they had a problem with their Unify. I don't know what they did. They play with settings is my thoughts. I don't ask. Well, I did ask, and they didn't know what they did either. So it's not that I don't ask, but I unadopted, readopted one of many Unifies, and just one in a pool of them wasn't working. No big deal. Unadopt, readopt, fixed it. I had suggested something like that before to them. They just said, can you remote in and do it? So I remoted into their system. We have access. I remoted in, did that, and then verified, had to contact someone, say, hey, is this one handing out addresses again? They're like, yep, great, awesome. Here's your bill. And we tested, made sure everything worked. And I reviewed a couple settings while I was in there. I typed that up into the invoice, send. Just done. And I'm paid already on that. And I'm paid on, 3 hours that Corey was there for a job. He sent the bill, got paid, we're done. Oh, is that Steve? That's just Steve was walking in over there. So if you keep things in a very simple, and I have videos on my invoicing process and how we do things, I'm very upfront, very open how we do it. There's no secrets, but doing it like that. And also, if you centralize your billing, I know people that struggle with this where they have all their techs turning in all their hours, and it's just, Corey's doing his own billing. Kyle does his billing. Steve does his billing. I do my billing. Eric's doing his billing. Melissa's doing her billing. Corey's doing his billing. Brett's doing his billing. Everybody's doing their own billing. It's kind of everyone has their own process. The processes are clear. I've even made a YouTube video about the process. And I don't know. I try to keep things as simple as possible, and by distributing the work instead of centralizing. Once you start centralizing it down to one person or one major ticketing system with a bunch of stuff on there, it becomes kind of a convoluted headache. And if that customer were to call me back and ask what they did, I would just pull their invoice up. I don't need to go address 2 different locations for information. I would look at what I billed them for. And someone asked, how do you do the non-billable stuff? Well, that's actually just the same answer. I bill it out for $0 if they're under contract, that we did it, and there's an invoice for $0. You owe nothing. Your invoice is nothing. We don't bother emailing it to you unless you requested it, which no one ever cares or does. They just care that things work, and there's documentation again. Look, cool, $0 invoice to fix something. But most of this doesn't need to be documented because so many of the calls aren't something special we did. We sometimes just turned on the printer or told them, hey, your printer isn't working because it says it's out of paper. Oh, okay, and move on. It's not that big of a deal. How do we get anything done with all the hot sauce? Yeah, it's tough. But we managed. We ate a lot of hot sauce today. It was a good day for hot sauce. There's a place called the Detroit Wing Company. I'm going to say their wings are okay. Sorry, I'm not trying to be, I'm going to be honest. I think they're okay. I'm not a big wings person though, so I'm not the official. Their sauce is damn amazing. So if you happen to be in the Detroit area, the Detroit Wing Company has some amazing sauce. We actually bought more sauce than we bought wings, and we stuffed our fridge. They make like homemade sauces. They don't sell it by the bottle. There's no way to ship it, but they make up their own sauces. So yeah, sometimes it's hard with all the hot sauce to get all the work done. But that's one of the company policies here. For all the staff that's on site in the building, they get fed that day. And even the off-site staff, when they're collectively working at a job site, I frequently will send food to said job site to feed them as they work. So that's actually just something, perk of working here, I guess you could say. So can you post more install videos? We love them, preferably Unify equipment that's being installed. Yes, I'm working to do as many as I can. My biggest challenge with the install videos, I'm waiting back on a 300 Wi-Fi, hi Ken, install job we did. And if Ken watches this, he knows. You can't just go around with a camera inside of buildings that have compliance and things like that, and they don't always want people talking about the details of their infrastructure. I am completely under... It's kind of like an NDA. It's just basically don't talk about this. It's not anything I have to sign. It's kind of a handshake agreement for some of the other consulting work we do because we're not supposed to talk about what we're installing at some of these companies, so we just don't mention them. So you can defer what products I may or may not be installing at this company, but you are not allowed to know the company's name that I'm doing some of the consulting for, which means I also can't take cameras there. Their names and logos are around their building. So it's hard doing some of them. The small companies can be a little bit easier. Some of the bigger jobs we do are really hard. The bowling alley was easy. The bowling alley has no issues. That's why I did the bowling alley video. But I'm going to probably do a handful others because we're working on more permission on them. I want to work with, there's a couple ideas I have that's kind of in the works that we might be able to do because there's a public view to it that's going to be interesting for the customer to get exposure. So we hope so. But these medical companies that we've been doing lately, I can't bring cameras there. There's too much patient stuff. Matter of fact, there are patients there when we're working. There's another one where we have a Wi-Fi we're going to be looking at a secure warehouse. It's a secure warehouse. I can't wander around with a camera. Yeah, so it becomes hard to do. It's a big job. I bid it on Monday, but I can't wander around there with a camera and show everything off. But I can do in post. I'm thinking about ways of talking about and breaking down concept videos without the client's name of how the process went. So hopefully I can do that. I just can't really picture the install. Manufacturers are great at manufacturing. Amazon is great at logistics. Yeah, Amazon's got the logistics figured out, but you got to remember when I worked in the automotive I was a tier 1 technology officer at a tier 1 Ford supplier, which means we were a direct, Ford was our partner, and we made sure freight got from the Ford plants to the the supplier plants to the Ford assembly plants. As big as Amazon is, and you see those numbers, I will tell you the number of trucks and vehicles moving and the amount of freight and logistics that goes on outside of Amazon, Amazon is not prepared to handle that volume. Amazon is the retail face that everybody knows that keeps America moving and keeps America with our fancy phones and cups like this that are shipped to us. But Amazon is not how you move 53-foot trailers loaded to the gills with freight. Very different how that's handled. It's a complete B2B system. It is the back end, how steel gets to these places, and then how said manufactured parts move to the other places. It's a very different thing. Amazon's good at logistics, but the supply chain system is very, very big and very, very old when it comes to automotive and how all that gets built. And Detroit is the home of everything from Detroit Diesel. We make a lot of the engines that go in the trucks, like not the consumer trucks, but the commercial ones that move the freight that then build the consumer trucks that people drive and make things happen. So it's very interesting because I worked in that for a number of years from a technology standpoint, but I was directly involved with the day-to-days of that. What else we got here? I sent a quote on Invoice Ninja and an email, then I realized I added drops that I didn't mean to, updated the quote. When the client views, which one will they see, the original or updated? They will see the updated, but if you did the quote and you do the PDF attachment, they've seen the PDF attachment. The online version reflects the latest. If you're attaching PDFs in Invoice Ninja, you can't change it. You send it with that PDF, so you now have a discrepancy between what's online and that. That happens. I don't know. That's one of those be careful before you send. Give a shout out to Josh Velasquez from Big Red Communications. He had learned about from your videos again, thank you. Awesome, cool. I like when people are learning. That is important. So, anyways, back to a little bit of topic, the invoicing now, just to be all on the same page of that. A lot of our process, I try to build, silo isn't the right word, but I try to build an independence around groups of my staff so they can manage what they do. Corey is the head end of anything infrastructure and wiring. Granted, we work hand in hand together. He doesn't work in a vacuum, but from quote to everything else, me and Corey figure that out together. And he does all the invoicing and all the follow-up on it. I never want to be the middleman. If I'm the middleman, it's going to get screwed up. And I say that not because I'm inept or anything like that, but it's one of those, I don't have the bandwidth for all things at my company to pass through me. Some people like to micromanage, and they think that's the way they do it. You can, if you are great at micromanaging, and that's what you want to spend your day doing, and you're effective at it. I'm not. I'm bad at it. I prefer, say, contact Corey, and Corey goes out and does the quotes. I get involved when I know the quotes have a technical aspect that's going to be more than a larger scale project. I get involved, but a lot of the onesie-twosie stuff, he just handles and things like that. Back to how Steve or Eric, they handle the front desk. Very much the same way. All this little job work comes in. And then Kyle's got 1 foot on the web development side and 1 foot on the tech side. So Kyle's doing both sitting in the office, and the same thing. Kyle kind of handles which gets invoiced and delegated, and then Melissa, my designer, she is doing her invoicing as well. Jobs just come in, and my clients, they contact each of them directly. I don't want it all filtered through me. And I was excited. We got 3 more MSP clients, and 2 I didn't know about, and that's because I put processes in place that if they call in, and someone did, they called right in and started, we want to sign up. And we're unclear because there was an assumption at first that they had talked to someone. We're not clear on who they talked to, and it sounds like they just found us through a mutual friend. So we clarified it later, but it's just kind of cool when those processes are in place. I go, wow, there's like a few more names on the dashboard, a few more company added, and my guys have completely onboarded by the time I noticed them. So that's that thing, though. I have so many the processes in place. that's what frees up my time to be able to do videos or think about how I want to future do things at the company. This is so important for any of that. And this is why I have a handful of videos on business process. Is that's really what it comes down to, is you putting processes in place if you want to be in the position of a business owner. And I'm a geek who owns a business. I'm not like I'm not like a guy who speaks business really well. Matter of fact, I'm still learning a lot. I get a lot of ideas. I hung out with a guy yesterday. Blew me away, man. He's just awesome. Having a conversation always enlightens me. He just has a better way of presenting it, knows how to sell and present to customers. And I like to share that knowledge with you guys all the time too. But what it comes down to is process. So just kind of wanted to rant a little bit about that today, because I did that video earlier that I posted about all the software we use, and I knew just a bunch of questions would come up from that. So let's we got here. I learn what not to do from your videos. Hey, if I can cover that, I will. Yeah, mistakes have been made. Trust me. If you can learn from someone else's mistakes, awesome, do so. It's a great idea. So it's great learning from your own mistakes. It's awesome learning from someone else's mistakes. And there's been times when mistakes have been made. I'll have to come up with something concise when we made some bad decisions. I think I have a bad decision video coming up soon. We're going to find out. It could have been handled better on all parties, but hey, whatever. But it's not terrible, and we're trying to find out if it is. We think we have it all under control, but we'll know. And I have to wait to see the debrief on some of it. On the other side, we had something go really well that I will be, once I have it all closed out, because we had to close it out mostly by the first, and the takeover went fine, but I want to do a debrief on this. I can't do on-site, not a medical client, but it's how to handle transitions. We actually had a very polite back and forth conversation with the previous IT company. We coordinated with them, people have asked about that. How, not just onboarding, but how do you offboard the old MSP? Why was the old MSP getting offboarded? Well, the first answer to that is they were very, very unresponsive and just created tickets for everything. They had a great ticketing system. You could click on a little icon and create a ticket, but no one would ever call you back. And I don't know what goes on in the back end of that IT company. I got no ill will towards them. I just have a client who calls us, well, now a client. They're like, these guys are unresponsive. And we found the same thing. It took them a number of days to get us things. Every email took an average of 3 to 4 days to reply to. And they said that was their problem. Everything was a few days, everything they did. And some of the obvious things were, and I don't know what led up to this, but this client got a new building. This IT company made a disaster of wrong cables, wrong length, absolutely horrible cable management in their rack. Like everything looks like hell in the back room, and we don't understand why. Like this was, the client's like, yeah, this, you can tell our building's new. I'm like, yeah, who did the wiring? They go, they did. I'm like, oh. And every time they come in here, they're digging through the wires. I'm like, yeah. She goes, and they're not responsive. And I'm like, yeah. So we know I took over, but we never made fun of them. We never dogged on them. That's something, yes, there's petty remarks going on occasionally, but you've got to keep that one completely away from the client. The client says, should it look like this? No, but I never go further than that. Nope, shouldn't look like that. That's all I say. I mean, of course, I got a lot of comments. I want to post a picture like, these guys are morons, but you don't do that. You handle it very professionally. You handle it very methodically. You email them. Each time you email them, and because you know they don't respond, I knew that going into the game, I CC the management involved that wants to hire us, and I CC them so they know every 24 hours I sent another email. Hey, just following up again to make sure we have this information. I want to make a smooth transition for the client. Thank you very much. Very polite emails. Day goes by, don't reply, send another email. Hey, just following up, we're taking over IT. If there's anything you need from us, let me know. But right now we need from you documents on the passwords, documents on how the controllers are set up and things like that. Just to let you know, if I don't hear from you, I'll send another email tomorrow. I'm giving them the heads up. If you don't reply, I will. And that kind of process makes it easier for the takeover. They see we're responsive. It's not hard to be responsive on emails, because even if I'm not able to get to things, we always push for replying to emails. I had this big job that I didn't, do a lot of videos. I also didn't get other little projects done. But I just took the time to email all these people. I am swamped. I completely understand, that you wanted this or that because it's an evaluation I have to do for a client coming out and setting up some new Wi-Fi. I said, can we just push this till next week? And the client was fine with it. I communicated with them. I changed the dates that we did things. Communication. That's the important part of that. Have you ever had an instance where a client didn't pay or wasn't satisfied with the work? Oh, yeah. Fun story time with that one. It's happened very few people. One guy is flat out bananas. We decided to write it off because of the drama of dealing with them. And we learned he's being sued by many people. And we decided because he owes us like $300, $300 or $400 he owed us. We wrote it off because we realized there was never a chance we would get the $300 or $400 I was owed. This was a couple years ago. I just wrote it off and said, this guy's nuts. We found in the news other incidents with the guy. Do I go to court and chase it down? Another time, we had a lawyer who insisted we come out to, and he's just such a memorable because he was such a dick. That's the only way I can describe this guy. He asked us to come out and set up some software. We said, well, you got to have the software. It was Microsoft Office, whatever it was. This is, just a number of years ago. But what he had done was he didn't want to pay for the time my staff spent searching for software that we told him to have ready, and he docked it from the bill and told me to sue him if I wanted the difference. He shorted me an hour on a 2-hour job. He paid the hour. He mailed the check and just let me know he wasn't paying the other hour because he wasn't going to pay full rate for searching for software. And I'm like, but we told you had to have it. And he says, I know that. So yes, it's happened, but it's pretty rare. And it's never been for any larger amounts of money. Like I said, the most I've been burned for in 16 years, and we do large projects. The biggest I've ever been burned for at this time, I hope this never changes, has only been about $400 or $500, somewhere around there. That's what weekly staff meetings are for. You agree with me, micromanaging? That's what weekly staff meetings are for. Yeah. So yeah, that staff meetings. We have morning meetings all the time. We have breakfast together and we eat lunch together and we kind of eat dinner together. So those are generally our meeting times when we talk about things. And we're constantly in communication via chat messages. Do you use Yahoo Cams? Nope, haven't tested them. I've heard of them. I don't know anything about them. I don't use them. What do you use for a CRM tool? Nothing. What do I... Never work for lawyers. They're the worst people. No, they're not. Lawyers aren't all bad. Some of the lawyers are really good. We have some great lawyer relationships. We have a few that are off the wall because they're defense attorneys. Defense attorneys have the best stories. Occasionally, those stories start with how they were doing cocaine. No, not their client. It starts with how they were doing cocaine. And you're like, go on, because this is clearly going somewhere. So defense attorneys are, every one of them I ever met that seems to be popular or good, seems to be quite off the wall as well. So defense attorneys are a lot of fun. They're lawyers like anyone else. Some are a pain, some are not. It's just like accountants. We have 2 competing accounting companies we do work for. One guy is just a pain in our butt. The other people we really like. We always have a pleasant time. This guy is just always, everything he does is, how cheap can I do it? How can I not do this? Do I have to pay you now? And it's always, yes, you have to pay us now. Yes, you have to pay us now. No, you don't get a discount. And if you ask any more questions, we'll charge you more. We have a joking relationship with him, but yes, it varies. People are hard to deal with in the big picture thing, and some are more difficult than others. Doesn't seem to matter what industry they're in. I guess if you're asking us here, I take that back. Not Salesforce. Brett uses it to follow up with clients and things like that. I just use email to follow up with all my clients. Like, this is how my process goes. But if you're doing sales, there's a couple different tools out there that are good for that. There's Salesforce, I think. And what's that? I can't remember the other one. HubSpot. HubSpot's really good for that too, for doing follow-up. I use email for everything. I follow up with emails. How do I know to email people 24 hours until this guy gave us all the details we needed? I put it in my calendar to email him, and then it notifies me, and then I send another email. And anything in my inbox is something that's not done. Once a project is closed out or it's waiting on them for reply, and it's nothing I have to follow up on, I send the message and I archive it. So my inbox has right now about half a dozen emails in it. That's all the projects I'm working on right now. So that's my flow. Maybe I'll do something specifically on my flow of how I manage what needs to be done. I don't know. I've been doing it. It's not like I developed this recently. This is me doing this forever. Like 18, 19 years of me doing this the same way. I've been like an inbox zero person since 1990 something of if it's in my inbox, it's something I need to address. And then when it's out of my inbox, it's been addressed. What else we got here? Just got my first FreeNAS server after I followed your channel while in FreeNAS. For 5 terabyte drives, what do you think? Should I choose creating my pool mirror RAID Z2? Sure. Why not? RAID Z2 sounds nice. It just comes down to redundancy. How much do you need? RAID Z1, RAID Z2, so you have a little more. It's really a you thing. How much integrity do you need? And by the way, RAID is not a backup. Keep another copy of it no matter how many RAID. If you even go RAID Z3, still keep another backup. And Skip Oliva. I don't say your name right because I don't know why, but I add another one in there. Lawyers and software do not mix. Yeah. Lawyers and software don't mix. The best stories aren't lawyers and software, it's lawyers and cocaine. Every lawyer story that begins with cocaine has always been way funnier than any of the software stories I have about attorneys. Great hacking videos too, enjoying them. Yes, well, there's some big plans I'm really working on to try and nail down Xavier Net. We want to do some walkthrough exploits. Like they're going to be separate than the how they got hacked. There's the how they got hacked, which is fun with us being on there. But then I want to do the very specific like walkthrough process. We're trying to get that scheduled and trying to figure out a good way to make that happen. Both of us are just super busy, but trying to figure out a way to make that easier for us to do. It's always the goal. I don't optimize for money. Actually, this was a discussion we had just before this meeting. Was I call it optimizing for happiness. I do things based on what's going to make me happy, and figuring out a way to make a few more videos makes me happier than more money. So that's why we're working on that. But unfortunately, I'm not someone who said he ever would tell you money doesn't matter. Money matters a lot. I got bills to pay. So I have to figure out the money thing first before I can figure out some of the happiness stuff too. Because don't get me wrong, I love to do hacking videos and things like that, but the other time is they also don't pay me much. So it's a labor of love more than a monetization thing. I make a whole lot more money actually doing some of the work too. But I still want to do them, and I will do them once my bills are paid a little bit more. And some of that may come through as we're really trying to figure out how we want to, I always say this, but we're still trying to nail down. I've reached out to some companies that didn't reply, but it comes down to some channel sponsorship. If they sponsor and a channel makes more money in the big picture, it allows me to free up more time to pay someone else to do more of the things I do. So, you know, and that's how that process works. Any advice for small biz on monthly cash flow? I don't know. Have more cash for flow? I don't understand it as a question. Get recurring revenue from clients when you can sell recurring services to them. Find a service they need and do it. I know it sounds like a greatly oversimplification, but that's kind of an overly simplified question, so I don't know. Our monthly revenue comes from MSP. There's that is a percentage of revenue from us. We have another monthly revenue that comes from managing WordPress sites. We have monthly revenue that comes from managing backups, and that's mostly it. Everything else is job and piecework revenue that kind of goes like this. So the revenue, there is a steady line, if I were to draw a line with that, that helps make payroll every month. But the big revenues come from the big projects for that. And then I just manage cash flow internally because I don't get loans for projects. I self-fund things. I think I've said that before. So I don't have, this business runs on a no loan basis at the moment, and it has for a long time. It's just a lot easier methodology. Yes, I seen the Apache vulnerability. I'll probably do a video on it once I have it broken down and concise. I'm aware of it. Everything I have is up to date. Don't quote me on it because I didn't read all the details of it, but yeah, there's certain conditions that have to be met for it to be a problem. What is a normal temp SFP price card? My card was sitting 95, had to add a USB fan. Yeah, some of those are hot. Some of those have large heat sinks on them or have fans on them. It varies from manufacturer to manufacturer. Some of them come with a fan built on because the heatsink on an SFP network interface card is going to be hot. Mr. Involved tells Corey's family doing And I know his loss of his family member is a tough time. Yes, Corey's dad passed away. I talked about that in the last vlog Thursday. Because there's, only half, the 8 or 9 people that work here, directly work here, not external contractors. But there's a handful of people that work here, so we are a close family, and Corey did lose his dad. There was a GoFundMe we set up for that to help cover some of the funeral costs. Thank you to anyone who donated. That's awesome. I can add it to the link description below. If you look at the last vlog Thursday, there's a link to the GoFundMe there. So yeah, it's tough. It is what it is. I hate to say it like that, but it's tough. We're there for him. We gave him we said whatever time he needed off. He needed a few days off to get his affairs in order and everything else. And, cancer sucks, man. He got diagnosed, and this is all in the description. Nothing not public here. In the description, Corey's dad got diagnosed with cancer, and 2 weeks later, that was it. It's cancer's a hell of a thing. It sucks. That's all we can really say. But we're there for him. We're there for him. So that's all we can really say. Let's see. Yeah, put in a duct, DLPlex fan, low airflow. That's definitely a thing there. But the MSP clients, back to that, so we'll get back on topic here. We are looking at, and I just helped out another MSP. I gave them some advice. Well, they're starting up an MSP. It's another IT company getting more into the MSP side, and they're faced with the decision a lot of people face when they first start their MSP. What is all the tooling that should I use? Should I go with ConnectWise? Should I go with Ninja? Should I go with SolarWinds, which we went with? And there's a lot of things out there. So one of the things that we're working on, and we're working with another local IT company, somewhat local. They're about an hour north of us as some test bed because they're local. I have a good working relationship with them already. Of us, MSP is managed service provider, which means we aren't just being reactive to a client calling when there's a problem. We're being proactive and trying to prevent that problem. So you be proactive by creating a maintenance plan for the clients that you actively monitor and engage with them. Now, there's tooling companies like SolarWinds and ConnectWise being a couple of the biggest ones, and there's a lot of other ones out there as well. There's Komodo and Ninja, et cetera, et cetera. But any of these toolings to help manage things require a learning curve. They don't just plug them in and work. You have to understand the monthly fees associated with them. Your monthly fees go down because, like any software as a service, you buy a bigger quantity. They'll give you some discounts on there. And then, like I said, understanding the tools. So one of the things we're really looking at is there's a lot of small IT shops out there. They're not going to meet some of the minimum requirements that you need to sign up for SolarWinds, to sign up for Huntress Labs. So we are looking at not being the front end, being a complete back end company for small IT. And it's partly because I'm realizing some of the struggles these small businesses are having. They see some of the pricing on the MSP stuff and they're like, wow, that's kind of a lot to get started. I only have 20 customers or 10 customers, so they wouldn't have this revenue stream. So the signing up for the tooling might exceed the cost that they would be able to bill the client to make this work, and they're a 1 or 2 person shop, so they don't have the resources to help really manage that back end and deal with the client. Here's what we want to do, and I'm going to be doing some videos specifically on this. We want to be that back end for small end IT. We know how to do this. We've been doing it a while. We don't want to be the front end, and I can't be the front end. If you're sitting in Georgia right now, I don't easily have a way to get to Georgia to go figure out on site. And if you want to be a good MSP, if you want to do it really well, you have direct access to your clients geographically. Yeah, we can do the majority of our job remotely, but at some point they want some FaceTime, or you need some FaceTime to go out there and visit the client. People like a local IT company. So our vision, my vision that we're trying to pull off here is I don't ever want to take those clients from those people, because that becomes the help desk support. And actually, that's where some of the money comes in, is help desk support that I don't want to do or staff up for. So if we instead just become the back end and the other IT company becomes a front end, we take care of all that back end, the updates, the management, the web filtering, everything else. We share access to those said clients. We handle that tooling side on the back. All that's fine and dandy. We can also kind of be that extra hand of remote support. We're doing it all under that company's name. They don't see us at all. We're invisible. And we don't want to be visible to the client of who's handling the back end. We don't want to be the front line to call. They call you. They never know who we are. Then we charge you a fee for managing on the back end. You mark that fee up however you see fit to manage on our front end. And cool, you get to sleep easy at night. You, the small IT company, can now take a day off, so to speak, because someone else can do some of the back end stuff, but they still call you and the front end, so they still see you as their one who's taking care of it. It seems like a really simple way to do it. I know there's other companies out there doing similar things, and we think we can do this. We think we can do this well, and it also gives you that back end resource because we have a handful of IT companies right now we're consulting with already that go, well, I'm not that great at VPN. I'm not that great at whatever. So one-off projects, just contract us to do them. We tell you it's $600 to do something. You mark it up to $900 to your client. You made $300 for being the front end of the business. We did all the work. You sat home, play video games. I don't know. Plug the wires in. That's not a bad deal for the IT guy who does that. We do a lot of these work. Then we can help you with planning and some of the back end. So it's kind of like, some of the stuff are calling you out. No, I'm not calling you out, but you can contract us. I see someone who's contracted us before. We generally are pretty easy to work with. Anyone who's worked with us before, and why not keep building on that process? So that's something we're expanding into. I'm trying to figure out how to launch it. Like I said, we're working with a local IT company because I have a good close relationship with them. But yeah, being able to do that because they don't want to sign up for they're not big enough and don't have enough people, I should say. They have a lot of clients, but not enough of them that are interested in a monthly service plan. But now we can take care of that back end for them for the handful they do, and they don't have to pay the premium license fees for everything. They're going to pay a little bit more than just a license fee to us, but they don't have to learn SolarWinds at all. We'll take care of the patch management. We'll take care of the stupid problems that come up with the antivirus and things like that. And then we're going to be actively acting as a NOC where we notify them, hey, we found this problem with your client, let them know. So there's that active engagement. We can coach them back and forth. They can rely on us as a knowledge resource, but that's some of the expansion that we're going to be working in. So, yeah, I build the clients and spent the time to research after delivering a solution. Yeah, beta testers, I probably will. I'm going to probably, after next week, I set up an entire beta login system for other people to be able to log in and start seeing things. So yeah, this is, I just don't have enough servers spun up because I have like a demo lab that I want these guys to log into because I can't just beta on a client. So we set up a demo lab here in the office stood up some virtual machines, and that is allowed them to remote into. So they're actively playing with it, so I can't give access to anyone else. When they're done playing with it, though, I can. I just remove their access from the virtual machines that we set up, and I can set it up for someone else. So, yeah, I'm going to figure out how to announce it as an open beta and see what other IT companies may be interested in this. I think it'll be a great service. It's a win-win for everybody because we really want to be the back-end people and not be the ones interacting with clients. That's actually all of us that work in the office are kind of in agreement with that. So it's my vision for how I want to build that out. And of course, there'll be related services, teaching sales, teaching consulting, like it's some of the business management side. Obviously, I share a lot of that on here, but I'd be willing to offer some of those other structures, like business consulting and things like that. And that's actually, if you don't know Brett, who you've seen on the channel a few times and done a few business videos, that's actually what he does is some of the business consulting and helps people out with the business. He's been helping me organize some of the structure in my business, even though as structured as I seem, I find it worthy to pay someone outside to come in and take an inside look and document some of these things and help me with certain growth things we're working on. So that's, more stuff we can do. We're looking at getting into, not me particular, my company, and Brett may be heading some of this, some of the cybersecurity training. So we're looking, to come out to a client where we do cybersecurity consulting and talk about training end users. That's something Brett has done. It's like coaching people of how not to click on things. What do you click on? What not to click on? And setting up phishing campaigns where we test those people and see if they are how easily phished they are. End user training, really important. So, all that fun stuff. Do I like PF Sense? I don't know. Look at my channel. Take a guess if I like PF Sense. I don't know. I have 2 PF Sense stickers. Does that mean anything? So I guess I like PF Sense. I'm happy with it. It works. It's It's not the only firewall we use. We've got clients with every firewall, even Meraki's and things like that. That's whatever. I don't hate those other products. I'm not thrilled with some of the license fees on some of them, but whatever. Sometimes they check boxes that make auditors happy that they want these things in their enterprise environment, so we deal with it. The consulting gig I'm doing is a whole lot of Cisco enterprise. Whatever, it's what it is. I'm fine with that. It's a solution that works. It's something we can work with. It's all solid equipment. It's all under warranty still. They only put most of it in within the last 2 years. So everything is not, it's not that old. So, hey, whatever. It all works. So I mentioned before, we're not a rip and replace when we take these people over. We'll try to use as much equipment as we can. We're not here to cause a bunch of pain for the client. If it's time to upgrade, we'll influence choices there. But just because we took over doesn't mean I rip and replace. We'll let the warranties run out, or not run out, but if they're under agreement, they're under warranty, they're not end-of-life products, well, we'll keep using them for a while. If there's not anything major that product is not causing a shortfall in their systems, it's not creating a security gap, it's not creating a gap in performance or a gap in functionality for them, why replace it? Whatever. We have a client that has an old firewall that I don't care for, but they have 0 ports open. They don't plan open ports. For what they do, it works perfectly fine. It's not end of life. It's latest firmware, whatever. Have any of your PFSense clients had issues with control scan, PCI compliance audits? No, because you can close things on the PFSense. As long as most of the PCI compliance stuff is stupid. And I say stupid. I probably shouldn't say that in a video, but whatever. PCI compliance can be a headache because so much of it is port scanning. And I will say something that's factually true. Pretty much every major breach was from a client, from Target to Home Depot. Name your big company, and their breach, they passed PCI compliance. Yeah, so to me, a lot of it is check boxes. A lot of it is just a port scanning and making sure the ports are closed, that whatever gateway, which I think it's dumb, but whatever gateway the data is going out, you should have the ports closed to pass compliance. Does it make you any more secure? No. All those point of sale systems that got popped because they had a bad TeamViewer password, and they were able to take over remote control of another company, that all passed PCI compliance, whatever. So it's so much functional bureaucracy more than it is anything else. I never did the Zen versus Proxmox video. Never got around to it. The problem is, feature-wise, they're so much on parity with each other. It comes down to the preference. It's like you have 2 devices that do, in slightly different ways, very similar things. The only time Zen really moves away from Proxmox when it comes to features is scalability. If you're running it at a data center level and you're running hundreds of them, Zen Orchestra specifically far exceeds Proxmox in terms of large-scale management. We're talking like managing a few thousand VMs across numerous hosts. So that's where you'll see a big difference, but on the even HA availability, all the other stuff, tit for tat, they both do a lot of the same things. And you could argue that there's a few other things Proxmox because it has a handful of other file system support that Zen doesn't. If that's the thing that matters to you, then go with Proxmox. It works great. I have nothing against either product. Like, it's not like I think one is trash and one is great. They're both really good products. So that's why we sat down and we made all the similarities and we kind of shrugged our shoulders and go, well, this isn't a very compelling video. Me and Jay just kind of laughed about it going, because we made like a list that we looked together and we're like, they all cross the same list. Proxmox adds a couple more features. They handle Docker differently, but they both handle Docker. They handle Cloud Init differently, but they both do Cloud Init. So if you have to handle it differently, does that make it? It doesn't. It's not. It's got its own challenges on each side. It's not like one is 1 click and one is 100 clicks. They both have just a different methodology for handling it. So it makes it really. Maybe I'll make the video because people keep asking about it, but it's going to be pretty boring. Because they are so similar. They're both great. They're both open source. They check all those other little boxes that make people happy. What is your preferred way to upgrade firmware for your R710s? I don't worry about it as much. We update it if Dell does. If Dell doesn't have an update, there's not an update. I don't write firmware, so I guess I don't know the question. We update what we can. And then when there's no more firmware updates, there's no more firmware updates. I don't run anyone else's servers in my stack. They're my servers, so I don't worry about Spectre and Meltdown as much, because escaping a VM in my stack based on it, and I've applied all the mitigations from Zen. There's actually mitigations you can apply. I see it. I know there's nothing in the wild on it. It's just, I mean, there is, but isn't there some proof of concepts? I get it, but it's such an edge attack, and I'm not hosting for other people in Zen server on an R710. It's not, we have any of that stuff in DigitalOcean for shared hosting. So I move it out of my problem and into someone else's. What else we got here? 44 minutes. There's a lot of you here. There's 83 people. Awesome. There's also we're so close to 57,000 people. So that's exciting too. So we got that. And interesting. I got some emails. Speaking of emails, if you don't follow the process, you might get your email deleted. I've had a few people that just decide to email random things, or they email me directly. Someone emailed me, "Do you have any PFSense videos?" I don't reply to those emails. I don't know why people email me those things. I don't know. So I can't say I reply to 100%. I delete some of those. I'm looking at a couple of them now, and I already know it's someone who may have not followed the process. We have a process of how you contact us, how you get in touch with us, how you engage with us. And people who just randomly call and want to talk to me, I'm sorry, I have to filter those out. That happens a lot each day. So there is processes by which you have to get through stuff. Because the person today that want to talk to me said, well, the other day too, this person's called back a couple times. They refuse to send an email to tell me what they want. They only will speak with me. That's fine. They have the most incredible offer, apparently, is what they've told my people who answer phones. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be... but if you have the most incredible deal, you can send an email. They even gave him my email address. We're nice enough to do that, and he refuses. He doesn't send emails. That's what this person is told each time he's called. I don't know. Dealing with people can be challenging. I'm just being as open and honest as possible about it. I try to respond to everyone. If you want to hire us for things, awesome. If you want to post things in an open forum looking for free support, you can look. It's very public. I post a lot in the forums. I reply to a lot of people. I didn't reply to at least a couple of them. I try to reply to everybody. There's a couple of them I can't reply to. Someone's using some obscure hardware. I seen they posted in the forums. I think someone else did respond, but I've never used it. It's one of those cheap managed switches or something they bought. I know nothing about it. I don't have much insight to offer about how it's configured. They posted some screenshots. Hopefully they can find some help. That can be challenging with some of those one-off products, especially if I've never used them. If I have used them, hey, no problem, I'll reply. It's worth posting stuff like that in there. But if I don't reply, it's because if you don't have nothing to say, and I've never used that product before, I may not say anything. But I do encourage everyone to sign up and jump into the forums and, go in there. If you're looking for ever just Q&A, general questions, I like answering them in the forums, and I've said this many times, because if I reply to your email, the only people seeing that conversation of, hey, Tom, what would you do in this situation? And I have people send me their entire network. I've had people just attach their exported config files and email them to me and go, can you look at this? Can you load it in one of your things and give me an opinion on how these firewall rules look? Here's my rate. Well, I don't want to pay. Okay, I don't really want to download your firewall rules, set up a firewall, match your rules to mine, and load on. I don't know what we're getting at here. But if you post in the forums and have questions, you'll see a lot more engagement from both the audience I've built there. Thank you for all the awesome people that are there that post a lot of answers, sometimes without me having to even get in there. And I also take the time to reply and read to a lot of people, because when you post it in the forums, in a public forum, when someone else searches a Google search, they will find that page and go, oh, that's how you do that thing. I also highly encourage people to spend time in the forums of the products I talk about. I seen someone posted, can you build a FreeNAS Ryzen server? No, head over to FreeNAS forums. They have a section all about Ryzen servers. There's all kinds of build guides that people have put together on what they assembled, what worked. I'm like, why even, if you even Google it, the first result is the pfSense forums about the Ryzen one. If you type in like Ryzen FreeNAS, I'm sorry, not pfSense, but Ryzen FreeNAS, you'll land right on there. I don't understand why some people like, oh, let me take the time to post it somewhere obscure. Like, just go right to the source on those. The XCP&G forums, they're excellent. Oliver Lambert, I believe, is one of the head developers. He's highly responsive there. Their development team is like there for you. If you've got questions or just read through, you'll probably find the answer because they've got like an absolute hugely active forum of posts. I learn a lot from them. I don't much post there, but man, I read a lot. I owe a lot of what I know about Zen servers. I just go through the forums and read all the Q&As in there. I don't know, it's kind of fun. There's a lot of knowledge to be learned in there. I haven't used CloneZilla, but when they did an update to allow to move VMs, you can always, I don't know, I don't know that they need an update. You can move VMs with CloneZilla because you boot CloneZilla up on two separate hypervisors, if you will. You could load a Hyper-V with CloneZilla, load an XCP-NG with CloneZilla, tell them to talk to each other and send the image over. That's actually a trick to getting things if you want to do the P2V, like physical to virtualization. Boot up the machine, transfer the machine over via image, and it works rather well. Yeah, and they said, yes, Oliver's very responsive. So I don't mind people looking for free stuff. There's a ton of free help out there. You just can't email individuals and expect them to help you for free. But you can post in forums, and there's a lot of people, myself included, who like participating in public forums. I always have. I'm excited. That's why I run my own forums. I like engaging with people and putting this all together. So if you want something, you have questions, post it in the forums. Post it. You'll find other people. Some people have insights that I don't have. I'm not the smartest person. So post in there. You'll find when you group effort something really good may come out of it. Some ideas you didn't have before, especially because you're crowdsourcing it with groups of people that are like-minded, working towards a goal. People in general want to help each other, and that's fine. But yeah, just sending an email, that's a little bit. Is there any other questions for the good of the class? Because I am tired and I want to go play video games, and that's what I want to do. I think that's what I want to do tonight. I'm not sure, completely sure, but that's what I'm feeling right now. I'm a little burned out doing tech stuff today. I've been here since 7 a.m. It is now 8 p.m. So I put in my 13 hours here. I didn't even leave today. I've been here all that long and I never left. I don't leave a lot during the day. I usually get here and never leave. Games I'm playing right now, so not Division 2, I know it's out, but I'm finishing up because I was late in the game, but the Humble Bundle gave me Division. I don't know why, I always thought the game looked cool. I got it for free because I'm signed up for the Humble Bundle monthly bundles, and it came like a month ago, and I'm addicted to it. I've had a great time playing it. It's really, really good, so that's probably what I'm going to play. I've got a lot of hours into it, and it's just a fun game. Best and worst marketing you've tried? I never play Call of Duty. Someone's asking that. So the best marketing, going out and meeting people, having a beer with them. I will tell you that is just being friendly and talking to people in a non-technical friendly manner is always my best marketing. It's always for every big job I've ever come from. Worst marketing, everything from buying space and magazines and stuff like that has all been low yield. It's for the B2B, I can't even name anything I think was great. One exception is I'm going to say YouTube has been excellent marketing for me, but it's very niche. I can't just say that YouTube, I've disclosed and I'm very clear about everything we do here on YouTube, but I can't say that this particular medium is for everybody. I mean, I have a plan around this, so to speak. We say at the end of each video, hey, you can hire us for the thing we talked about, but I'm not going to say this is a blueprint every business should follow. because it may not be what you're good at, or being in front of people and creating tutorials and all the things that go around it may not be your thing. But going out and meeting people, hanging out with them, that is, what was I doing yesterday? Had a great conversation. Me and Bob sat around. We had a couple beers. It was a podcast meetup with a bunch of other podcasters, and we're just talking business, and a couple little things came out of that. A really big referral a year ago, a job came in that led to this other job that's over 6 figures. It all came from me meeting people. This consulting gig, same thing. I went to another meetup and had a beer with a guy. He turns out he wants to give us some business on commission, so he gives us some business consulting that we just give him a commission on, and he's really happy. Like, it's been awesome. He gets referral fee for some of the clients he sends, but he's very connected because he's super social and hangs out with the right crowds. Other good marketing, actually, I'll give you a tip. This one's a good one, but it's hard. It takes a lot of effort, but doing public speaking and working out public speaking deals with different places does help a lot. I'm speaking at a really big, it's called the IoT Tech Connect panel. I'm going to be posting about that probably tomorrow. I got to get my things in order for that. I'm a panelist. I don't get paid to be panelist on these things. I volunteer time at different entrepreneur events, launch events. I help do that. That's marketing because it puts you out there. It's not real. I mean, I like helping people, but it puts you out there hanging out with a bunch of other people sitting up on a stage. Gets you noticed. It's hard to get there, but once people recognize you as an authority, you're willing to put a lot of time and effort into this. That can help. It's just getting your name out there all the time and going, hey, you own that Lawrence Systems company that does computer things. So that's some of the best marketing. Some of the worst marketing is trying to just buy ads somewhere. When it comes to B2B, I've never found them effective. Joining a local chamber, showing up, getting involved, volunteering at the chamber. By the way, there's a video when Marvin was there. I'm not that good at this, but Marvin always says, make sure you volunteer at the chamber. Like we do the 50-50 raffles and things like that. Marvin is great at it. He's always the 50-50 raffle guy. People get to know you because you're going around trying to sell them tickets. They have to engage with you. One, they're not engaging with technology because they may not think in the same way you do with tech, but hey, they're engaging with you, so you're becoming friendly and they start like you, and people buy from people they like. So be involved in the chamber, be active in it. Yep. Any other hot sauce coming? I'm working on it. We haven't done a hot sauce video in a while. It's certainly on my to-do list, but it's, yep. I don't know. I'm going to go play video games. I'm going to go play The Division and drink beer. I think that's what I need to end my day with, because I'll be up for probably 4 more hours, and then I sleep for a few hours. I'm going to do a day in the life, because if people ask me about it, I'll walk you through, getting up in the morning, all the reading I do. I'll cut it up so it's not me reading for 2 hours, because that's what I do each morning. And I'll walk you guys through some of that for those of you who want to know what a day in the life. I'll bring it down to maybe like a 10-minute video. Do I like fishing? Oh, yeah, and I'll ask Kyle about the vinyl. Fishing, no. I grew up on a farm. I grew up hunting and fishing. I don't care to do it because I'm lazy. I don't want to. Well, sometimes I do just want to sit out in the woods. I do like that. I don't really hunt much anymore because I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm lazy again. I don't feel like, I go to Kroger if I need some meat. But mostly I just like to relax and zone out. I go for walks in the woods a lot. That's part of something I do still do. I just do it without a gun, I guess. It comes down to most of my family. That's how I grew up, was hunting, fishing, and animals and things like that. And on a very more survivalist way too. Like we used to go out to the hunt cabin and we didn't bring a lot of food because it was the idea, well, we brought carrots and you then had to go get the food. And if you didn't get the food, well, you could just eat carrots. So I grew up very different. I'm very different than the people I grew up around, because it's that very, live in the wilderness mentality. That's where my family lives. They don't live in this Detroit area. They live far north. They live off the land more people. I used to do fishing. I don't do that anymore. So there's some personal information, which I'm never have a problem sharing. No one usually asks. All right, take care. Later, everyone. I'm going to shut this other computer down because the streaming computer's here and I'm controlling it from here. Double click this and then it'll be off. We have remote control on the streaming computer. Click this and stop.